My G's, you seem unsettled. You were not summoned here to grovel, my G's. This is the Darth Vader Neurofunk bass, and it's the best bass patch that I've ever made. If you don't believe me, wait till you hear it. I'm dropping it on Discord right now in the Fire Team tier. Shout out to all the supporters. So, let's have a little listen, shall we? My G's, be careful not to choke on your aspirations. Oh, it is nasty, if I do say so myself. Let's have a look at the patch, shall we? So, what I've got is the Darth Vader breath. I chopped off a little part in the middle and moved it to the right so I could make the file as long as my... that's what she said. As long as 172 BPMs. So that's exciting, isn't it? What happens next? I've got a bit of processing. We'll go on to that later. But let's jump into the Vital. The Vader Bass 2. I will probably make a Vader Bass 3 once I sort out this darn Vital problem, because I couldn't add any more modulations again because it went all to the left. Everything I own in the box to the left, as Beyonce hacked my Vital. Yeah, so let me reverse engineer things quickly. And sorry if this takes time, but I'm not gonna edit this video because I hate editing videos. It's so annoying, so boring. So wait with me. I'm almost done. Okay. All right, let's start with oscillator 1. So I put the Vader breath sample directly into the oscillator. I put it in vocode mode, vocode mode, and all that shenaza. LFO1 is going all the way up so that it's going to play out the whole waveform, as you see. I must say I've already got a little bit of a melody going on. Should we take it off, or yeah, let's take it off for now so we can focus on the sound design. Because I started off just with an E, like a really long one, and then I added in the extra notes later on. So anyway, that's kind of where I started. And then if I'd sort of turn off the other parts, like the other effects, I've got the real Vader breath sample in the main sample section. And basically, because it's a bit quiet, I've turned the level up and I've turned the level down on everything here, and then I've just boosted the master up to like full whack. So you can hear the Vader breath original in there a bit as well. But yeah, the cool part is when we add in the oscillator 2 and obviously FM it. So I've got a squared off sine wave, and then I'm coming in hot with the FM from oscillator 1. And that part already sounds dark and delicious. I love that sound, but I wanted to, yeah, get a bit more complex with it and ended up making more of a sort of dutty Neurofunk mid bass. So what I did next was I added the time skew mode onto this first nugget over here. And this is still in that kind of deep and dirty, dark, like roller kind of vein kind of bass, you know, because you could almost, let's hear what it sounds like at this point. Yeah, so that's the first kind of bass that I made. I think I saved it separately, but because I really like that as well. But yeah, I was experimenting with it a bit more, and I got some more interest out of the sound by adding in another time skew in this one as well, which is going to make things a bit mental. But before we do that, you can see it's unison. So I've got a fair bit of stereo nonsensory it's very wide already, you know, 4 unison here, 4 voices. So anyway, let's add in the next Shepherd time skew. Oh, that's when you go from roller to dutty neuro squelchiness. And perhaps at this point I can already add in my extra melodic notes, because I want to explain something about the patch as well. So I'm going to add in these notes that I kind of just freestyled in while I was sort of looping my rhythm. And yeah, to add more variation to the sound design as the patch progresses, I've tracked the note box here to a couple of things, namely this time skew. So the time skew, it really drastically affects I'm making up words as we go. I wanted to say drastically and radically, but the new word that I've created is rastically. So I've rastically the time skew rastically messes up the waveform, right? And by tracking the note to it at different points throughout the cycle of the kind of rastication, basically every note is just going to be slightly different. And by finding a nice little sweet spot between, you know, the start and finish, I can ensure that every note, when the note changes, the shape also changes. And yeah, so rather than like randomizing it, it's going to go along a little bit with my pattern more. So every time there's a change in note, there's a change in tone and texture as well. So that's very exciting for everyone involved, including my grandma. So this is already absolute filth. And what I did was I turned them both down to -22 because it didn't quite fit with the sound of the Vader breath, because it kind of makes a I guess it kind of makes like a tone, like when you import the wave, it's kind of got a musical tone to it, and so at that sort of E it didn't quite work. So I guess it's probably like at D now, not at E. But if you use your ears, you can kind of figure out if it's gonna fit like with your rest of your track, you know. But I think it's technically like a D. Anyway, yeah, next part. I think I experimented with another oscillator, but I believe that I sort of left it off in the end. Didn't really need that extra those extra harmonics because it's very rich already. So now at this point where it's very rich, I'm going to start to filter things out. And yeah, the sample, so the original Vader breath, I wanted to increase the volume of it, so I just filtered out the low end and drove up the filter. So it makes it like a little bit louder here, you know? So you can hear it a bit more in the background. A nice like organic texture to the rest of the bass. And the next part, filter 1 is going to be really doing a lot, because this is going to filter this whole like neurofunk kind of sound that we've got going on here. We could maybe mix it back a bit, because I'm taking out a lot of low end, you know, on either side of this peak. And you know, this peak is essentially, that's gonna like give focus to the mid-range, you know, and especially as it's moving. But and by focus I mean it's also gonna make it more concise, because it's gonna pick a little spot of frequency that it likes to emphasize that kind of growly area. And you know, each little part around either side of it is gonna be, you know, a lot further down in comparison. So it's gonna just sort of tighten up the low end and be more location specific with where that growl is. So this is tracked to my main LFO, so it kind of just sweeps down slowly. And then I've got a little bit of this part here sort of changes the shape of the filter a bit. And this is just tracked to the note again, so each note changes the shape very slightly. Just to give a bit of separation between all the different note melodies. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, make sure the glide and legato is on and voices are set to 1. And that's like the main oscillator section, to be honest. I don't think there's anything in the advanced either. It's just kind of as it normally is. And yeah, so we'll bang straight on with the effects. And I've got a chorus here and I really liked it. It's a bit mental up at full mix. And although it kind of destroys the patch, like I can hear that it has a really nice stereo character to it, and when I mix it in, I know that I can increase the width of the sound. It's going to sound cool. And with the depth, what I've done is I've basically just left the mix up and then mixed the depth around. But it turned out around 50% or just under was kind of the sweet spot anyway. So anyway, I'm going to mix this back down now. And it kind of blends everything that we've done together again as well already, because obviously it's chorusing the whole lot. So when we chorus the whole lot together and mix that in, it's like a combo chorus of everything. So it in a way, it kind of blends everything together as well. Not only widening it, but also, I don't want to say blending again, but gluing it together like an adhesive tape. Midway slurp, you don't get that very often, do you? Anyway, I've gone for the open the floodgates compressor mode, where we turn the attack all the way up and the release down, and it's absolute hell and chaos on earth. Yep, see you later, eardrums. And then we're gonna see you later, eardrums. Sound like James Acaster. Anyway, I'll bring it back down again. Parallel eardrum disruption. That's what I'm doing there. It just, like that kind of powerful saturation also sort of glues the sound together a bit. And then again, this is kind of like shaping everything once more with a bit of distortion, saturation. It's so powerful at this point, and it's like the perfect blend of everything together. I absolutely love it. And then I've got an EQ, further boosting a little bit of where the kind of frequencies are missing. What is this at? This is at like 500. Really smashing out that mid-range. Absolutely loving life at that point. Tiny bit of extra filtering at the end. I don't think it's doing too much. I wanted to just give a tiny bit more emphasis to like this frequency at like sort of 80 or something. So it's kind of like, it's almost like I'm just sort of EQing that bit up and bringing the rest down by comparison. That's all that filter's really doing. Yeah. And I've got my juicy like drum break from my sample pack to play along with it. But it's such an overbearing sound that I need to go ahead and like process it and filter it more. So what I've got is I've got like a kick sidechain, and it just wasn't enough, so I added like another one in as well. And don't ask me why I've used two, you know, pretty much the same shape. You'd think that one would be enough taking out 100% volume. It wasn't, so I've used two, and I can hear the kick a lot clearer now. Believe it or not, I actually boosted it a little bit more in the mid-range, about 444 here. Maybe that's a bit too much, let's readjust that. That was pretty spot on the first time. And then I've got a little snare sidechain as well. Look at that shape of sidechain, I've never done that before. That was just randomly done by accident with my like shitty arm. My arm's doing a lot better actually. I had a little couple of moments away from the computer where possible, just to rest up, and did some nice exercises to get my wrist like healing up a bit nicer. So yeah, it's on the mend definitely. Be back to producing my own music at some point soon. Anyway, sorry, I'm rambling about myself. Yeah, I've got another little modulation that happens, which is basically this filter, which is wicked, right? And if I turn this off for a moment, the modulation, and whack it up. So it's a preset actually on Filter Freak 2 called KB's Groove, and I just adjusted the frequency amounts, and it's sort of like, it looks like a guillotine or something. It looks cool and it sounds cool, so that's always a win. And what I've done is I've just automated in that effect at a couple of little spots to give a little rhythmical gap. That is so dope, honestly. I'm not even like trying to brag here, but this is the favorite bass I've made so far. It's so like powerful in the mid range, and the high end is just like, yeah, nice, and there's so much movement going on. Yeah, I really like it. I'm pretty much there now for this tutorial. That's pretty much all you can do with Shrimp. Yeah, so dropping this one on Discord in the Fireteam chat. Shout out to everyone on Discord though. Shout out to the whole Elite squad. One day we're all going to enter the metaverse together, and we're all going to be like in our, you know, like in our 60s and 70s. Some of us might have already passed on, but we'll still be there in AI form. We'll sort of re-synthesize our, you know, the audio from all the conversations we've had, and yeah, create like an AI version of ourselves, and then we'll just be forever, you know, having squad hangouts. So that's cool. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and just don't do anything that I wouldn't.